Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Natalie Grogan on the line, and she's the founder and CEO over at The Outstanding Company. Natalie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Happy to be here.
So I'm excited to get more into The Outstanding Company and how you're helping your clients. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in business and in your career?
Sure. So I grew up with a dad who was in outside sales, and I always wanted to be part of whatever he was doing. So I can remember as far back as being 8 years old, asking him if I could help with any office work. I would go spend some time when I could in his office and filing paperwork, or he would give me these big, long 10-digit invoice numbers, and I would search through mountains of paper back then to find them, and I just really enjoyed doing anything where I felt like I was contributing to his business. I went to college in Arizona, and I was fortunate to find an internship my senior year working for a 5-person startup. We were in digital marketing and lead generation online. It was early 2000s, so it was a little sketchy back then, old black hat SEO tactics, but I learned so much from those guys about starting a business, running a startup, everything from the SEO marketing stuff to sales and accounting and legal. So I've had the kind of entrepreneur bug since then. After that, we sold that company, and I had a little stake in it, so that was super cool. Also, gave me another, fun taste of entrepreneurship and selling a company. And I really wasn't sure where to go after that, so I moved to San Francisco. I took a job in outside sales, working in the science arena, which is not something I have a strong background in. But I went knocking on doors to laboratories and asking them what they needed in terms of supplies and equipment, and got a little bit of sales under my belt there. Eventually, I met up with one of the guys who I worked at that startup with in Boston, and he hired me at a content marketing agency to be a director of content marketing, which there was basically flying around the country to visit with angry clients to talk them off a ledge. So that's really where my consulting career began. People in that role before me had historically treated it as an apology role. Fly and meet this chief marketing officer who was unhappy with our work, sit down with them, apologize like crazy, and say we'll do better next time, and hope that they, keep their contract with us. My approach was very different. I went in and started talking about their value proposition and their messaging and their audience, and kind of taking it back to square one, and helping these executives explain to me really what they were trying to accomplish on a basic level, and then putting it back on them, explaining that what they were putting out there wasn't really reflecting either their audience or the value proposition and the messaging that they wanted to create, and starting to build a new marketing strategy for them. So it was much more consultative and much more effective in retaining clients and creating, more positive relationships and success for them in the future. So from there, that company, it's called Brafton. They're still around. They let me build a consulting division of Brafton, which is still out there today. And I'm very proud that, I was able to help them monetize what we were kind of giving away for free for so long. So after that, I worked at a few different jobs, but I went through a series of layoffs, and they were kind of sweeping layoffs, like 70 people at a time. And I took those experiences as a kick in the pants to start my own business, and that's where I am today.
Wow, what an amazing story. And what I love about it is that you have the transitions that you had within it, and then from starting at your dad's office, helping him, all the way to knocking on doors at companies. I mean, that skill set in its own, we could spend hours talking about what you learned there. But that being said, there's some younger entrepreneurs or some people that are just getting started, and obviously now you're many years into your business, and we all learn from the ups, the downs, the sideways, everything in between. So what kind of advice would you give to that new, fresh entrepreneur that's really just getting out there and starting their first venture?
My advice is to never give up. And I think that that's where a lot of people fail, is that it gets really hard for a while. And there are some unicorns out there, but for most people, you go through a period where you're like, I don't have enough money to do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know if this is ever going to turn into something. And it's usually at that point, you can get past it when everything starts to come together. So, I've been at the breaking point a couple times in my career, and every time I keep going is when I see the most success.
That's awesome. Natalie, let's switch it up a bit. I want to get into, I think that's a great transition. Let's get into what you're doing over at the Outstanding Company. So first, tell me a little bit more about the business, please. Sure.
So the Outstanding Company is a talent optimization firm, and our mission is really to help business leaders create outstanding places to work. We don't believe in the fluffy, feel-good stuff, although our goal is to help people feel good. But we want to create real sustainable change. So to do that, we use a combination of science and people data, plus workshops and education and technology to understand the drives and motivations of individuals and teams, to help solve big, expensive business problems like attracting and selecting top talent, employee engagement, company culture, team dynamics, and creating strategic alignment across the organization and leadership team. Really anything that is a people problem, and we like to say that most business problems can be tied back to a people problem.
And I know this is going to vary from organization, but organization to organization, size of the business, of course. But that being said, what are some of the common themes of problems that you find these businesses have before working with the Outstanding Company?
Sure. So one scenario I work with a lot of startups. So oftentimes when I approach a startup, they'll say, you know what, we're really small. We're not quite ready for this yet. And when I start talking about how critical it is to get the right people in the right seat from the start, and how expensive it is if you don't, even if in just replacing an employee can cost 30 to 50% of their annual salary, it really resonates with people because, in a startup, you don't have time or money to make that kind of mistake. Along the same lines, fast-growing companies, so high growth periods, whether they've been established for 75 years or they're brand new, we can really help them in the hiring process as well. And to do that, we use a simple 4-minute behavioral assessment. And for science and technology, we partner with a company called the Predictive Index. The Predictive Index has been around for about 60 years, and they have scientifically validated assessments for, we have a behavioral assessment, a cognitive assessment. Both of those are used in the hiring process, as well as a job assessment. So on the other side of this, hiring assessments piece, we can model each job within a company to figure out what behavioral pattern is best suited to that role. And you might think that a salesperson would have the same profile at every company, whether it's outside sales or inside sales. Those differ a bit, but they're really not, because your company has a different business strategy than your competitor, probably, even if you're in the same industry. And you might be, driving all about, production and sales and getting your business out there in the marketplace, while another company might be, honing in on improving their technology or cultivating culture within their company. So the type of person you need in each of those scenarios is very different. So we like to look at each new role a company is hiring for and make sure that leadership as well as people who have done that before or that job before have input into modeling the role so that we can hire the right person the first time.
That's awesome. So Natalie, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about the Outstanding Company or to connect because maybe they have some people problems and maybe maybe they need to start thinking and planning in advance before things arise, because we know if you're not working on it, things catch you blindsided. We know that. What's the best way for them to reach out to the Outstanding Company and connect?
Sure. You can find us at theoutstandingcompany.com, or you can email us directly at hello@theoutstandingcompany.com, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours.
Perfect. Well, hey, Natalie, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing over at the Outstanding Company. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. But if you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share this with your friends and family, leave us a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Natalie, thanks again for coming on the show.